Welcome one and welcome all. This is HaloPod, a podcast powered by Halo, a certified minority-owned search firm. We provide the white glove service and connected employers with potential employees to create the perfect match opportunities. I'm your host and inside extraordinaire, Angelo, and on the pod today, we have Donnamarie Martin to discuss her role in the world of people operations. Donnamarie's been at WoeBot for 5+ years, and we're going to dive in and give her some time to shine. I am here with my sister, Donnamarie Martin, SVP of People at WoeBot Health. WoeBot is the world's first mental health ally for people and businesses. WoeBot provides behavioral health solutions for all ages. Now, first off, Donnamarie, before we jump into things, how is all in your world? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Angelo. I'm really excited and grateful to be here with you and to have this time to be able to just connect and share some good stories.
Yes, awesome. And very much likewise, always appreciate, not only our brother-sister dynamic, but being able to learn from you. And I kind of get to be able to pick your brain. I feel like I learn so much from you every time. Now, I just from our personal conversations, I know things are crazy going on between, work and the kids. But how do you feel you've been doing with like the whole work and home life balance thing these days?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I have thought a lot about this concept of work-life balance, and I think the way that it shows up in my life is more work-life integration. And so it's like taking this approach to, integrating and how I do that. And a lot of that has just come from really working from home. Being remote 100% post-pandemic and trying to figure out how to do that with kids and all the things that come along with not kind of having that space that you go off into, right? Like an office where you say goodbye to your family and that's where you work for 8 or 9 hours. And so
Right.
it's always, I think of it as a practice. It's a continual practice of setting boundaries and knowing when to break those boundaries in important moments and just kind of, learning to flow in all of it. So it's been good. I think that I have my 5.5-year-old is in school, and that's been amazing, kindergarten. And then my youngest one just started daycare part-time, and it's really helped a lot.
Shout out to Athena and Baby O.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, that's good to hear. And you know what? Hearing those words, just kind of being able to integrate just the balance of things is, I don't know. I think it's something that we're all trying to figure out. Those who are, take their work seriously and take their home life just as serious. And yeah, I think it's something that it's kind of almost like an age-old question at this time, where it's almost like you almost don't even know how to answer. It's just like what works best for you. Because I know, for me personally, I'm in the same boat, just trying to figure out how to integrate everything and almost make it just a lifestyle instead of looking at it as like a separation sometimes. You are in people operations. You are now, and congrats, it's a new title you've achieved, SVP of People Operations. What has triggered your passion in the field, and what's kind of like your goals within the realm of people operations?
Yeah, definitely. Well, as in the title, people, I think it's interesting because like many people in HR and operations, it wasn't something that I set out to do, but it was something that I fell into. And when I fell into it, I fell in pretty hard and just absolutely love the work, right? And the challenges and all that come with working with a bunch of different personalities under one roof, all trying to work towards a common goal. When I started at WoeBot, I'd actually come in for more of it was like a general office operations, EA admin function, which is a lot of the work that I had done was always like supporting operations, working with founders. Often I'd come into companies and help kind of get the operation set up, and then I'd, move on to the next, or I was doing a lot of consulting. And in WoeBot Health in particular, it was just a pretty young company at, I think, 6 months old when I joined it. And within 8 months, it became very apparent that 100% of my time was going to be spent on HR and less around office administrations and EA support and all of that. Like we really, really needed a full-time HR person, and it really, I would say, ignited my passion for working with people and understanding the value of like kind of getting to the core of what makes people tick and like why they're at a company. And not only that, just like the importance of human-centered leadership, right? Like putting our people first. And I think that's what's really drawn me into HR, because we see a big shift in leadership that, they really do believe that at the end of the day, their people are everything. And so how do we help support them and develop them? And ultimately it helps the company be successful. So it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, 100% a win-win. Where did you hear of WoeBot, and how did you get connected with the folks over there?
Yeah, I knew the founder for some time. And she actually was a neighbor of mine
Nice.
long ago in the Mission of San Francisco.
Hmm.
And I was running my own startup at the time. It was called Zesty Cleaning, and we did home organizing and house cleaning. And also, my background is in nutrition. And so we did nutrition consulting, and it was this whole kind of approach to cleaning out your life, right? Like from the cupboards to the inside of your body, this whole way to, just find a better, more well-being in your life. And
Gotcha.
anyway, we were neighbors, and she had seen me running my business and had been through maybe the 6 or 7 years of growth that I had before selling it. And she always said to me, when I get my company, I'm going to have a company one day, and I'm going to grab you for operations. You're coming to work with me. And, I think it was maybe 5 years later, right after I'd had my first daughter. She was 4 months. And Allison Darcy called me and said, I've got that business, and I really want you to check out, this product that I'm working on. And, it really is, I want to help people feel better, and I want to make mental health radically accessible to people. And there's just such a disparity and access, and innovation is just sitting there waiting to like make this all work and fit. And she's, I'm looking for the people that like believe in this wild dream and want to go. And so the rest is kind of history. I went and interviewed, and I just, I really, really love the mission, and I really love the leadership. And especially our founder. She's just an incredible visionary, and is somebody who's really just changing the world and the way that we do access mental health. And
Mhm.
so, it's 5.5 years later, and I'm still there. I think I was the seventh or eighth hire, and we just hit 110.
Let's go. Wow. I mean, I imagine those qualities that you've seen in her, in the company, is that what kind of drew you in to join, like officially? Because, it's always amazing when you have a neighbor that's saying things like, when I start my business, you're going to be first on the list. But, that doesn't necessarily mean that's something that, you want to do, or that is the right move necessarily for you. So
Yeah.
what was just her being a great person and kind of the mission of WoeBot, is that what kind of really drew you in to officially join the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's the dream, like
Yeah.
like just being somebody who has struggled with my own mental health challenges, and have like family members and friends, and I don't care who you are, right? Like we've all been touched by it. And
Hmm.
and I had a half brother of mine pass away, and he took his life through suicide. I'm just getting real with it. And I think like, when I really understood what Allie was building and why, it was like, something that I knew that if my brother had access to it, he might still be here, right? And it's so interesting because years later, as the company continues to move through clinical studies and just a number of a lot of research that has come out from it, we see that people improve their mental health all the time from using this product, and they actually really bond with this product like they would bond with the human. And it's really phenomenal, right? And so I think,
Yeah.
like, just from my own kind of story and the things that I've experienced and knowing like the potential that something like WoeBot has out in the world, it
Mhm.
just felt like something worth jumping into. And I've never been wrong on that. It's always been every day I come to work and I think about how grateful I am to be working for this company, right? That is just doing really great things out in the world.
Awesome. Yeah, and the more you talk about it, it almost seems like a place to allow your brain to go to the gym, like to put it kind of in a funny way. Like it
Yep.
almost seems like, because your brain's the most important muscle, and WoeBot seems to provide you the space to give you that workout. Um,
I love that.
and yeah, just making your mental health stronger. And it's definitely the more I learn and the more I hear you speak on it, it's really putting a smile on my face, just understanding that, that you guys are out here doing this for the everyday person, making this available for the everyday person. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so as far as like some of your responsibilities in the role, what kind of is like a day in the life of Donnamarie Martin?
Well, no day is ever the same, that's for sure.
Hmm.
I think it's like my style in HR is to really connect to people and purpose, right? And their
Hmm.
purpose, really. And and so I do that by like it's been interesting since the pandemic and going remote because when I used to be in the office, I would be meeting with people all the time. Like that's all I did, like going around, getting and not just like, how is work going? Just how's your life? How are you?
Right.
How can I show up and support you today? Like, just really getting to know people and understand where I can offer support and how they want to like grow. And so I think the way that that translates now in my day to day is still lots of one-on-ones, group meetings, just really understanding company strategy, all the way from things like making sure that payroll is processed correctly to getting through performance reviews, right? And making them like actually really meaningful and gosh, just so much. We just have constant hiring happening and helping to support with recruiting and headcount planning. And then really, I would say like a good portion of my time is in leadership coaching and development and supporting. I report into the CEO, and so I work very closely with him and his chief of staff. So it's a lot of talking, a lot of listening, a lot of training, and just really showing up day to day in a really present way.
Yeah, showing up is always like the key to everything, right? Hearing responsibilities, what can kind of make your day with people easier, and what kind of makes your day difficult dealing with people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think easier is when there's like a feeling of cohesiveness, right? Like when we're just in a flow, we've got some celebrations, we've,
Yeah.
shipped a really hard feature that maybe the team had been working on for a while. Our leadership team come together and they have, a really great aha moment on strategy and being able to like deliver on that. I think things like that. Also just having like fun,
Hmm.
trying to get these, happy hours in or these virtual events that are all done remotely because we're across 24 states and now 4 countries. Just those times where we can all get together and have a really good time. I think the challenging piece is, honestly, it's a double-edged sword. It's also being remote fully. Like it can be really challenging, not only being fully remote, but being on all these different time zones. I mean, we've got
Right.
folks all the way in Maui, Hawaii,
Wow.
to Ireland, to
Mm.
France, to, right, like just all over the place. And it can be really challenging, like the delays in communication and some of the work that we're doing. Um, and then, I think just in general, there's a lot happening in the world, and we talk a lot about well-being in the workplace and
Yeah.
burnout and how to get ahead of these things and supporting people. And it can just be really tough trying to do that remotely from behind a computer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Um,
100%.
but
Because
it's
you're
also
almost like I'm sorry, but I was just gonna say you're almost in like your safe little bubble
yeah,
when you're
yeah,
behind the
yeah.
computer.
Sometimes it's just so great. You're here and you're getting all this stuff done and you're
Yeah.
figuring out ways to connect. And then at the same time, in that safe little bubble, it's so disconnecting. It's like I
Hmm.
would give anything to be in an office with somebody. And at the same time, I would never want to give up remote first working. It's such an interesting dichotomy that I know a lot of companies and people experience, where it's like
Hmm.
we all love remote and that flexibility. And we also really, really miss that kind of in-person energy and vibe that you get, right? When you get to
Hmm.
like sit down at a whiteboard or sit across from each other or like go get a coffee or something.
Yeah. 100%. That camaraderie.
Yes, yeah.
Being in the trenches. So,
Hmm.
through your working experience at WoeBot, I'm sure you've gathered so many. Ooh, I like, as we like to say, tools in the tool belt. I'm sure you've gathered a ton of tools. What are some of like your favorite things you've kind of learned? Some of your favorite tools that are always in your tool belt that, obviously you use during the workday, but maybe you use when the clock's not on also.
Yeah, for sure. I think the number one thing that comes is empathic listening, like this concept of just really being able to show up and listen with an empathic ear. And, that's at work, but also at home. That's with my
Mm-hmm.
children, with my partner, with friends, right? I mean, I think that that's a really important tool, and I'm not a master at it at all. I always think of myself as a beginner at everything, but I really try to I really try to let that lead in like my conversations with people. We've also recently brought on this fantastic consultant. His name is Joshua Encarnacion, and he really he's been working with me on like rolling out a concept throughout the company or socializing this approach to balanced thinking. And balanced thinking is it can show up in so many different ways, but it's really like how do all of us, right, with different backgrounds and different lived experiences come to the same table and like have a conversation, right? And kind of like get us all aligned and able to row in the same direction. And the way that balanced thinking shows up is like in our conversations, in the way that we recruit, how we plan, how we build our product, and even just in my own life, like thinking about this, like balanced approach to life. And
Right.
I so many things that I've picked up in the last 5 years have been through WoeBot and the people I've met there and who the company has attracted. And I think it's been so much growth because of that. So yeah,
Okay.
I think empathic listening and thinking more in a
Yeah.
balanced way and just always living by curiosity, right? Like just being really curious and seeking to understand.
Yeah. No, those are wonderful tools. Now, would you say that some of the tools, and I don't think those tools, I think those specific tools those are tools that are going to be, useful forever. But do you think some of the tools previously that you've maybe used or, you know, implemented in the past, whether they be, it could, now this time it could actually be software. Do you feel like things are, maybe some things are becoming old fast? Do you see maybe a lot of change in how to deal with people today?
Well, I think those tools that I just brought up are pretty sound, and it
Yeah.
feels like no matter where we're at, right, and
Can't
history,
touch those
all
tools.
that,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's really interesting though. Like if I think about like operation tools or sort of,
Hmm.
there's so much around HR and like how we automate things, right? And
Hmm.
I mean, because old school HR was a lot of paperwork and
Hmm.
kind of behind the desk and, updating the spreadsheet and doing that. And nowadays it's like the HR tech is a big thing, right? Recruiting
Right.
tech, like these things that we use to automate and there's a lot out there, and it's something that God, we could probably do a whole episode on that. But
We might have to.
yes, yeah. I mean, for us though, it's like something that we are once a year at a minimum looking at like our current tech. Do we have everything we need? Is this going to allow us to scale up? What happened from 30 people to about 70, so much of on the HR side that we had in place, like just like broke. It like exploded. It like
Wow.
was not scalable. There's a lot of learning, right, that we've like
Yeah.
implemented and folded in now to get into a better place. But um, for us, it's like just always staying current. We need to just stay current and keep moving forward, especially as like new tools come up and new ways of automating and doing things.
So you guys are pretty open to when new things come up. You guys are on top of it. You make sure you're not falling behind in the race, basically, when it comes to tech,
I
HR
don't
tech.
think so. I don't think so. I mean, shout
Good,
out to my senior manager of talent acquisition, Anthony Holloway. Like, I feel
Anthony.
yeah. I feel like he is at the forefront of always looking at like what is that next best thing and are we like what's going to help us with efficiency, especially from a recruiting standpoint, like looking at analytics and how can we make sure that we're getting the data out there. And I mean, he's, fantastic at that. And I'm often just, tapping him on the shoulder, being like, can you help me with this? Like, help me get up to speed with this thing that I know is going to make things better, and
Right.
I couldn't do it without him. So,
Good. What a cool environment that is. And then, speaking of environments, to you, what makes a healthy work environment, or like a work culture? What does it for you?
yeah, I think just, psychological safety, like creating
Yeah.
a culture of psychological safety, which I know is a term that either people are really familiar with or not really familiar with. But when I say psychological safety, I mean a place where people feel like they can really show up to be their authentic self, right? And
Hmm.
that whole kind of saying of like bring your whole self to work, like I don't think we've ever said anything like that 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. And the way that it shows up now is like we need to have safe spaces within the workplace where people can show up to be themselves. And
Yeah.
because from that place, right, that's where innovation happens. That's where growth happens. That's where people can feel like that it's safe to experiment, right? And it's safe to fail. And it's safe to be honest, right? And I think what supports that is kind of going back to these concepts of like empathic listening, right? Like really being able to listen and showing up in like a humble way and being really trusting of your colleagues. So yeah, I think that's what makes for a really healthy and balanced culture.
It's wonderful. Now, for those who, are thinking about getting into the world of people operations, and even for those who are, in the world, and because, everybody could always use some advice from the next person. What advice would you give that person?
Hmm.
A little gem, a little Donnamarie gem for them.
Ah, I don't know. Gosh, oh, so much. I mean, lean in. I
Lean
think
in.
that if you're really interested in getting into the people space, lean in and get to know people
And listen.
and just listen. Yeah, because that's the thing. You learn so much. I mean, just by listening and really showing up for people and holding space. It's
Hmm.
so much of like what you need to do and what's important. for the business will show up in that way by understanding what your people need and how to like help guide them. And so I think people operations is a really, really exciting space to get into, or HR, whatever, it's called a lot, and it's
Uh-huh.
vast. It kind of covers a lot, but it's such a great place to get into because, you will see, I mean, even from recruiting, it's like, I know when I started recruiting years ago, you didn't always have a seat at the table. It was just, here's the numbers you need to hit. I just need you to go. And now it's I think more often you're actually asked to participate in the strategy and like the type of people that we want to hire and what are the values we're looking for. And it's just a much more thoughtful process. And I feel like HR leaders, right? They're really there. They're invited to sit at the table and talk about strategy and also invited to bring up topics like well-being and mental health in the workplace and an organization's sort of role and responsibility in supporting a space that ensures that people, can thrive there, not just survive. So yeah, I think it's a great time to jump into it because it's just going to keep this sort of like human-centered approach. I think
Right.
it's really starting to show up across a lot of companies and corporations and becoming more of the mainstream.
Yeah, great. Now, as we wind down, just kind of want to ask a few fun questions here. Um, Now, I understand we're still figuring out that work-life balance and everything, but what do you do to recharge? What is a hobby outside of work that you find peace in? Maybe better way to put it is, what would you like to do to get more time to exhale from the week of work? And how do you and Chris kind of just, or let's leave partners out of it, matter of fact. How do you, or how would you like to just kind of de-stress from work, and how do you recharge for Monday to come?
Yeah, I love that. Well, full disclosure, I have always had a fascination in true crime. And
Oh
I think
yeah.
it's because I always kind of wanted to be a detective. I had this like underlining passion for
Uh-oh.
bringing justice, right?
Okay.
And that's fine, but there too much of anything isn't really the best thing. And I think that was a way to just sort of like disconnect, right? I think prior
Yeah.
kids and now with kids and just having more intentionality and like my time when I am away from work, definitely time with my kids. Like my favorite thing in the world is packing them up and just going for a walk and playing at the park. I love, running, hide and seek. We've lately been like obsessed with paint by number. It's just like these things that I can do with them. It really recharges me, like that time with them, because being a working parent, as you know, it's like always a trade-off, right? When you're
Yeah.
with kids, there's something at work that's not getting done. And when you're at work, like really immersed, there's, it's time away from your kids. And it's just this sort of it can be tough at times, but I just find a
Yeah.
lot of happiness that comes from time with my kids. I love yoga, definitely exercising, got my little Peloton downstairs. And then sleep and rest. I just can't,
Yeah.
naps are amazing. If I can get a nap in when the kids are napping, I will take it. Like just that kind of relaxing, laying down, listening to a book, reading a book, all that.
Oh my God. Well, spoken like a true mom MVP, as you are totally getting it in. And I
Uh,
totally appreciate you so much
thank
for,
you.
doing the first Halo pod with me here. Very, very much appreciative. Before we go, I would like to, just give a time to maybe plug any social media. It could be your own personal social media, maybe something connected with WoeBot. We can plug WoeBot's website, or just how the people can find WoeBot in general.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't know if it's an age thing or a career thing, but I definitely I don't know the last time I've logged into Facebook, but I am avid and active on LinkedIn. And WoeBot Health has a great business page there as well with just awesome content on all, blogs from mental health to some of our leadership speaking in panels to just so much great information on innovation and AI and what we're doing out there in the healthcare space. So I highly recommend that. We've also got a couple of other podcasts, not the company doesn't do it, but like interviewers there that I think you and your audience might really enjoy just to learn more about the company. So yeah, definitely check us out, WoeBot Health, LinkedIn. And then of course we are on Instagram and Facebook and all that.
Great conversation and spotlight placed on People Ops and Donnamarie's personal experience. We learned a lot and I appreciate our guests. Awesome kickoff to the HaloPod journey. Sister or not, it was great being able to pick Donnamarie's brain and hear how she sees things and how she feels about them. Make sure to check out WoeBot and make sure to follow Halo at Halo Consulting via social medias and on YouTube. Don't forget to visit haloconsulting.com for all your recruitment consulting needs. I'm Angelo, Inside Extraordinaire, and we will catch you next time on the HaloPod.